Okay, hello students. So this video is specially made to understand the terminologies for this particular chapter, that is language of chemistry. All right. So first, there are certain terminologies to be understood over here. Are what are symbols, what is valency, what is variable valency, what are radicals, what are compounds, etc., etc. But before that, I would like to understand something about the structure of atom. Okay, once you understand a little bit about the structure of atom, the rest of the things are becoming easier for understanding. See, to understand the structure of atom, we are very clear that in the center we are having the nucleus. Okay, in the center we are having the nucleus which contains protons and neutrons, and there are shells which are surrounding the atoms. Okay, in which there is residing of the electrons like this. Okay, so I personally to understand the concept, I prefer that I draw like this. So now you see proton and neutron, that is inside the nucleus. Okay, and on the outer side there is a shell. This I can say shell 1, this is shell 2, this is shell 3, etc., etc., etc. Now, if you see carefully, there are certain limitations of the shell to constrain the electron. That means certain shell can accommodate limited number of electrons only. So, for example, the shell number 1 can accommodate 2 electrons. Shell number 2 can accommodate 8 electrons. So, I'll take only with respect to 2 shells only to make your task easier for understanding the rest of the part of the atom. Okay, so if we take the two shells, now say for example, first shell can accommodate maximum 2 electrons. Okay, now if it is able to accommodate maximum 2 electrons, then the third electron will be residing in the next shell. So next shell can accommodate 8 electrons. So after 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, once this shell is over, okay, then we can consider that this forms the electronic configuration of a noble gas. Okay, so in first two shells only, we are talking only with respect to first two shell, not rest of the shells. So first two shells, one there are 2 electrons in the first shell, and once there are 8 electrons in the second shell, the shell is complete, as well as the completion of the shell gives us the electronic configuration of the noble gas. Now, why we are taking the electronic configuration of the noble gas very seriously is because that all the atoms tends to acquire the electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas to attain the stability. Alright, now see carefully. Say for example, there are the total, say for example, 3 electrons are there initially. We take an example of lithium. Say 3 electrons are there. So this is the nucleus, 2 electrons, and the third one is in the next shell. Okay, now the electrons which is residing in the last shell, that electron is called valence electron, and that shell in which beyond which the electron is not residing, in that particular shell is called the valence shell, means the last shell in which we can find the electrons. Okay, and beside the valence shell there is one more that we call it as penultimate shell. Now say for example there are 3 electrons, then this shell, this particular shell number 2 is the valence shell. Then this shell number 1 is called its penultimate shell. Similarly, once this is completely filled, that means 8 electrons are completely filled and I am putting electron over here, then this shell will be called as valence shell, and this shell will be called as penultimate shell. So these are the two terminologies we need to understand very carefully. All right, that this shell, this last shell possessed with the electron is the valence shell, and the shell which is before that valence shell, that is called the penultimate shell. Is that clear? So this much information regarding the structure of the atom is enough for understanding rest of the things. Okay, now we switch to the second thing, that is what is an element. Okay, though the simple and pure form of a matter which cannot be decomposed into simpler substance, that is called as element. For example, we take iron. Okay, pure iron if you take, it is a pure element. Okay, that contains all the atoms which is of iron only. that cannot be further decomposed. We cannot further decompose into iron into something else. Okay, that is called the element. All right, but this is true only if the elements are non-radioactive. Radioactive elements can be further decomposed, but that is not part of our area of concern right now. We should understand that in element it is the pure form of a matter which cannot be decomposed. All right, then we switch to the atom. What is an atom? Atom is also, the definition is given in the book, so I have taken, but it is not the smallest particle, but in book it is given, so I have taken as such. The atom is the smallest particle of an element which may or may not exist independently, but can take part in chemical reaction. So remember this thing, whenever chemical reaction takes place, these are the atoms which are combining and not the elements. Alright, so for example, if I say that one ion is combining with one HCl, that means the atom of ion is combining with the molecule of HCl. Alright, so right now this is just for the understanding. We will understand this everything with the example later on. Okay, then comes the molecule. The molecule is what? It is the combination of one or more than one atoms, okay, of same or different element existing as a smallest independent particle of matter. Okay, fine. So these are all the definitions. Now we will understand with the example that what actually all these things mean to say. Let's take the example. For example, the element we take as oxygen. Okay, oxygen as such, if I take, it is occurring in the free state. And the free state oxygen is represented like this because we know that oxygen cannot remain in the free state. It is always found in the combined state. Okay, but when I am having single atom of oxygen, that is considered as the free state. Now in combined state, see, either it can combine with the atom of oxygen only, means the atom of same element, alright, or it can combine with the atom of other element like hydrogen. Okay, if it combines with the atom of same element, that is oxygen, it forms O2. So the combination of atom produces the molecule. Okay, but the thing is, this O2 is called molecule of element. Why? Because it is framed of two atoms of same element. So it is called as molecule of element. While H2O, it is formed of what? One atom of oxygen and two atom of hydrogen. Okay, so it is also called a molecule, but it is molecule of what? Compound, which is formed by different types of atoms. I mean the atoms of different elements combine to form a molecule, but it is called the molecule of what? Compound. The similar aspect can be applied, or similar thing can be applied with hydrogen also. In the free state, it is hydrogen itself. Alright, in combined state, two possibilities. One is forming H2, forming H2O. So H2 is called molecule of element, while H2O is called as molecule of compound. Is that clear? Okay. Now similarly we have Cl2, H2, O2. These all are in combined state. Fe, sodium, these are in the atomic state. They lie in the atomic state. They don't form the combined state. So they are in the atomic state. Cl2, H2, O2 are the combined state. So they are considered as the molecule. I cannot say sodium molecule. I have to always say atoms of sodium because they are in free state. Metals are generally obtained in the free state. So I cannot say molecule of copper. It is always atom of copper. Is that clear? Okay. Similarly, carbon we can take. Diamond is a combined state, where carbon is attached to another carbon. Alright, so this forms the molecule of an element. Now we come to the next thing, that is atomicity. What is atomicity? Very simple. Why to go in much definition? I mean, if it is asked, you can learn, that is fine. But it is a simple thing. If a molecule is there and the number of atoms contained by that molecule is called the atomicity. Very simple. Hydrogen is a molecule. How many atoms are there? 2. Atomicity 2. Oxygen is there. How many atoms? 2. Atomicity 2. Nitrogen is there. How many atoms? 2. Atomicity 2. So it is the atomic. Similarly, sodium, iron, etc. they are monoatomic. FeNaK, they are monoatomic. They reside in their own atomic state. Then, so this forms the molecules. Okay. Similarly, O3, 3 atoms of oxygen are combined. So triatomic. P4, 4 atoms of phosphorus is combined. So tetraatomic, or it is also called as polyatomic. So atomicity, what it says, atomicity is the number of atoms which are present in the molecule. Is that clear? Okay. But yeah, here just one more thing to be understood. See carefully, it is the molecule of element only. Oh? Okay. So we need to understand. Don't make the molecule of a compound correlate with the atomicity. Now next, the symbols. What are the symbols form? It is the short form that stands for the atom of specific element, or the abbreviation used for the name of the element. For example, sodium we write as Na. Why? Because when we want to write NaCl, I mean sodium chloride, you are not going to write the whole equation or whole name of the compound like sodium chloride. Instead, you will simply write NaCl, that represent what? The sodium chloride. So it makes our task easier. And what is the significance? It represents name of the element, an atom of the element, a definite mass of the element. So when I say sodium, I want to say that its mass is 23, it is monoatomic, that's it, and it is one atom of the element sodium. Alright. Now next comes significance of molecular formula. Okay. Molecular formula means what? When a molecule is formed and when it is represented by any formula, it is called the molecular formula. For example, H2O, we recently saw, it's a molecular formula. Alright. So it gives us what? Quantitative significance of molecular mass. That means when I want to say one hydrogen atom is there whose mass is 1. Two hydrogen atoms are there whose mass is 1. The net mass of contribution of hydrogen is what? 2. Similarly, oxygen is having the mass 16, contribution 1. So total mass is 18, out of which 16, that is contribution of oxygen is almost 89% by mass, and the contribution of hydrogen is almost 11% by mass. Is that clear? So molecular formula says me what? Quantitative significance of molecular mass. Fine. It also gives me respective number of different atoms present in one molecule of compound. Okay. Ratio of respective number of different atoms. What I want to say? Ratio of different respective numbers of different atoms. See, H2O is there. So hydrogen, there are 2 atoms. Oxygen 1 atom. What is the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen? 2:1. Alright. Fine. Next, we will see the valence electrons and valency. So I have already discussed what are the valence electron. The electrons which are in the outermost shell of an atom are called the valence electron. Now what is valency? Valency is the number of electrons that an atom can lose, gain or share during a chemical reaction is called the valency. So it is also called as the combining capacity of atom. Okay. Another definition is number of hydrogen atom that will combine with or displace one atom or radical. Okay, let's understand in a very simpler way. See, let me take one example. Okay, see, say for example, we are taking that of lithium and nitrogen. Okay, lithium has atomic number what? 3. Nitrogen is having atomic number what? Say 7. Okay. So if you see carefully, the 2 noble gases in between which these 2 elements are there, one is helium, which is having atomic number 2, and neon, which is having atomic number 10. Now why we are considering the noble gas? You know very well that the lithium, okay, when it accepts or donates electron, just to acquire nearest noble gas configuration. So if you see, nearest noble gas is having helium. How many electrons are there? 2. But lithium is having how many electrons? 3. Okay. So what it will do? It will lose 1 electron. Lose 1 electron to form what? The electronic configuration of helium. Now when it loses 1 electron, that means its combining capacity is 1. That means it has ability, that means it has valency equal to 1. So what are the valence electron? The valence electrons will be equal to what? 1. Why? Because the configuration is 2 and 1. So the valence electron is 1. Here the valence electrons are 5. Valence electrons are 5. Okay, but here now when we compare valency, how many electron it is donating? 1. So what is the combining capacity? 1. But nitrogen, if I say, nitrogen has the nearest noble gas as 10. So it will not donate 3 electron. Instead it will accept 3 electron to acquire electronic configuration of neon, that is 10. So the valency of nitrogen will be equal to what? 3. That means what? Generally group 1, 2 and 3 has valence electrons and valency same. But if we take from group number 15 to 17, then valence electrons lies between 5, 6 and 7. 15, 16, 17 means 5, 6 and 7. But valency will be 3, 2, 1. Why? Because this requires 3 electron to acquire 8 electronic configuration. That means octet rule, which we will study. That is generally the rule for the noble gases. That noble gas has 8 electron in their valence shell. So every atom try to acquire 8 electron in their valence shell. So if this non-metals are having 5 electron in their valence shell, they will tend to acquire 3 electron. Okay. Then if they are having 6 electron, they will acquire 2 electron. If they are having 7 electron, they will acquire 1 electron. So the valency will be 3 to 1, but valence electron will be 5, 6 and 7. While in group 1, 2 and 3, generally valence electron will be only the valency. Is that clear? Fine. Now we switch to one more. See, here I have represented the example. Okay. See, helium is 2, neon is 10. Okay, this is the stable electronic configuration. Fine. So now see, hydrogen, how many electron? 1 electron. Either it can donate 1 electron and stable, means 0 electron, or it can acquire 1, accept 1 electron and become stable. So hydrogen is having 1 valence electron and valency also equal to 1. Similarly, lithium, recently we took the example. Alright, it has ability to donate electrons. So valence electron and valency both are one and the same. Then it comes nitrogen, 7, that means 5 valence electron, and it has an ability to accept 3 electrons. So the valency will be equal to what? Valency will be equal to 3. Now one more thing note over here, valency cannot be positive or negative. When you put the sign, then it becomes the oxidation state. So always remember, when you are writing the valency, always write the numbers without the positive or negative sign. Is that clear? Okay. Then we will study the variable valency. Now what is variable valency? And why does it happen? Certain atoms or certain elements possess the variable valency. So why they possess the variable valency? Now the concept will be crystal clear. Why? Because see, I have already taught you the concept of penultimate shell. Means the shell which is before the valence shell. If the electrons are donated from the penultimate shell as well as from the valence shell, then it will exhibit two type of valency. The first valency will be due to the loss or gain from valence electron, and then the second valency will be due to the losing of electron from penultimate shells. Okay. So for example, iron is having Fe plus 2 as well as Fe plus 3. So plus 2 state is acquired when valence electrons are donated, and the third electron is donated from the penultimate shell. Alright. So this is the concept of variable valency. Now comes the concept of radicals. What are radicals? So it is an atom or group of atoms of same or different elements that behave as a single unit with positive or negative charge. Alright, that this is the definition. As soon as we'll move ahead, I will teach you everything with the examples. Okay. So now let's understand the radical with the example. Radical can be positive, can be negative, and can be free. Okay, but right now you are free from free radical because it is not part of our concern with respect to this 9th standard. So now we will study positive and negative radical only. Positive radical are called the basic radical. Why? Because bases have ability to donate the electron, so they are called basic basic radicals, while negative are called the acidic radicals. Say for example Cl minus, F minus, OH minus, this is Na plus, Ca plus 2. So radical formed by donation of electron, radical formed by accepting the electrons. Is that clear? Fine. So this can be of pure atom, this can be the group of atoms, like for example you say OH minus, similarly you can say NH4 plus. Okay, so it can be single atom, it can be group of atom having a positive charge or negative charge. Alright. Then comes the concept of relative atomic mass. Okay, now what is relative atomic mass? See, you read the definition from your book. I am not going to make you understand according to the definition of the book. Okay, we will understand this thing with an example. Alright, see, say for example, I am having, say this is an atom, but this should be compulsory the atom of carbon 12. Carbon 12 means what? It possesses 6 proton and 6 neutrons. 6 proton, 6 neutron forming 12 atomic mass. Alright, it should be compulsorily carbon 12. First understand that thing. So now there are 6 protons and 6 electrons. Okay, now I'll cut this into pieces. I cannot cut this nut into pieces like this, but you understand that I am cutting this into 12 pieces. 12 pieces. Now if you see carefully, there are 6 protons, 6 neutrons. Protons and neutrons have almost equal weight, so total 12. Alright, now I am cutting this into 12 pieces. So what do you understand? That each piece is either of neutron or of a proton. Are you able to get my point? There are 6 proton and 6 neutron, in combined they are equal to 12. Now make 12 pieces of this. So it is either 1 proton or 1 neutron. Bas, that is called the relative atomic mass. That means what? See, this formed the 1 atomic mass unit. 1 atomic mass unit means what? I made 12 pieces of this. So one piece will be 1 atomic mass unit, and that is called as AMU, which is having the mass either equal to proton or equal to neutron. Almost similar mass. Okay, so it is 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27. Now if we are considering another atom, then we need to check that how many times it is heavier than this 1 atomic mass unit. Say 23 times heavier, then atomic mass will be 23. For example, sodium, one atom is 23 times heavier than what? 1/12 of carbon 12. Okay, so it is number of times one atom of an element is heavier than 1/12 of mass of atom of carbon 12. Is that clear? Okay, very easy to understand. Make one AMU and your the given atom is how much time heavier than one AMU will give you the relative atomic mass. Similarly, when I say relative molecular mass, it is one and the same. How many times that molecule is heavier than 1/12 of mass of an atom of carbon. Is that easy? Okay, so we take a carbon 12 atom, make 12 pieces. Each piece will be either equal to 1 proton or 1 neutron. Then it forms 1 AMU. Okay, and if you say that your another atoms is say 15 times heavier, then the atomic mass will be of 15. So that's why it is called as relative atomic mass. It is relative to the atomic mass of carbon. Is that clear? Okay, it is same as how you weight. Okay, in a pan, if on one side of the pan, if you put suppose 2 kg and 3 kg, and on another side if you keep the vegetables, when pan balances, okay, what will be the relative mass of the vegetables? It will be equal to 5 kgs, which you have kept on the another side of the pan. If you have kept 5 kgs, then the relative mass will be 5 kgs. If on the other side of the pan if you kept 2 kg, it will be 2 kg, but it will be relative to the pan you have kept. So the same way here our reference is what? Reference is 1 AMU, and which is equal to what? 1/12 of the mass of atom C12. Is that clear? Okay. Now comes the empirical formula. Okay, what empirical formula is again a very easy thing. Empirical formula is the simplest formula which gives the simplest ratio of whole number of atoms of different elements. Okay, you can read in the book. In the simple thing I want to make you understand, if it is C2H6H12O6, take the LCM. So it will be CH2O. Similarly, acetic acid C2H4O2, take the LCM, CH2O. If you see carefully, same empirical formula is there for glucose as well as for acetic acid, but they are having different molecular formula. And how you are going to calculate it? Learning standard number 10th. Is that clear? Similarly, this is H2O2. H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. What is the empirical formula of hydrogen peroxide? OH. Bas, that's it. You have to take the LCM and it will give you the empirical formula. Is that clear? Okay. Now next we are going to see balancing equation. Okay, this is totally theoretical concept. I will teach you the methodologies of balancing equation. See, it is based on the law of conservation of matter. That means the state that it states matter is neither created nor it can be destroyed in the course of chemical reaction. Okay, similarly total number of atoms of each element in the reaction on the left hand side of the equation is same as on the right hand side of the equation. That is very simple to understand. So balancing equation gives you what? It gives you the data which substances are taking part in the reaction, that is reactant, and which substances are formed, that is called the product. Then it also says us what? Number of molecules of each substance which is involved. Okay, this is very easy thing. Then comes limitations. What are the limitations of chemical equation? Fine, it does not give you the physical state of reactant and product. You have to write the state of reactant and product in the subscript, whether L, G, etc., etc. Liquid for L, S for solid, and G for the gas. It does not tell you the time taken for the completion of that. It does not tell you that whether the heat is given out or whether it is absorbed. It also does not tell you the respective concentration of reactant. It gives you the number of molecules that are involved, but it does not give it the how much concentration is used for this particular reaction. It is not telling you. Whether reaction is completed or not, no, it does not tell you that whether reaction is completed or not. And the last one is whether it is reaction is reversible or irreversible. That data is not given to you by the chemical reaction. I hope these things are clear to you. Thank you very much.